a guardian angel and designer. Is you get what the f is you talking about, man? You are not from Harlem. Why do you keep thinking that you are from Harlem, bro? You are not from Harlem. I did not grow up with you, man.
You are a guardian angel and designer. Is you get what the is you talking about? My, you are not from Harlem. Why do you keep thinking that you are from Harlem? Bro, you are not from Harlem. I did not grow up with you. My was a CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down. I took that position of holding him down. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan. So you could sit around and act like you've been around all this Harlem and everything. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you got to keep saying I'm from Harlem? From Harlem, know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem. What if everything you thought about Jim Jones was just smoke and mirrors? What if the guy out here claiming he put Mase and Camron on the map was really just a super fan who begged his way into the circle? What if the truth is Jim owes it all to them? Remember when Dipset was untouchable? When diplomatic immunity had the whole game locked down? Now picture this. What if that entire empire was built off a straight-up lie and the man screaming for credit was just a clinger with perfect timing? Now the truth crashing through the facade and Jim scrambling to hold on to any piece of spotlight. But how long can you fake it before the ones who made you decide to take it all back? You're about to watch one of hip-hop's biggest illusions come undone live and raw. See, hip-hop was built on one thing: respect, not handouts. You earn your stripes in the streets. You don't just claim blocks you never stood on. You don't just remix your come-up story when the spotlight fades. And you definitely don't snatch credit from the ones who actually laid the foundation. But Jim has been crossing every code for 2 whole decades now. The real builders are stepping in and they are ready to tear down the fairy tale. He's been selling the nerve. Jim Jones just said he was the CEO of the Diplomats, that he held down May and Cam. That's not just twisting history. That's full-on identity jacking in Harlem. Saying you built something you had no hand in. That's not just a fib. It's flat-out disrespect. The kind that sparks real tension in the streets. And look how bold he is with it. He says it with his whole chest like it's gospel. That's what happens when you repeat a lie so many times. You start living in the fantasy. But the thing about building a name off someone else's sweat, sooner or later the real owners show up to shut it all down. Boom. The energy just hit ice cold like Arctic levels. Do you remember how we met? Pause. Not met. How you got cool with us. Basically, you heard our freestyles and you came up to me one day when I was chilling in front of the house. You said, "Yo man, I heard the freestyles. You're killing. More freestyles come out. You'll heard than you did. Children of the Corn 12-minute freestyle. Mase Camron Cardan DJ Clue. Google Bloodshed and Camron Children of the Coin freestyle. Are you at any of these places? No, you was not there, man. You wasn't there. Camron didn't just disagree with Jim. He obliterated his whole story with just 4 words. You were our fan. That one line crushed 2 decades of carefully staged lies like it was nothing. This ain't about bruised egos or someone catching feelings. This is about the real difference between creators and clout chasers, between the ones who built something from the dirt and the ones who just latch on when it's already lit. Cam didn't just clap back. He reminded everyone exactly who Jim really is. And spoiler alert, it ain't who has been pretending to be. Here's where Cam breaks it all the way down. He shines a light on what's really fueling Jim's behavior. People who've never built anything for real. They crave validation like air. They don't ride with successful folks out of love. They do it because deep down they are scared people will see the truth that there's nothing solid behind the image. Jim's whole public identity, it's been stitched together from borrowed street stripes. But when the cracks start showing, folks like that don't come clean. They just double up on the lies and hope no one checks the receipts. Well, guess what? The truth just showed up with the invoice in hand. And that was the moment everything shattered. Jim Jones didn't co-own Dipset. He didn't discover Camron or Mase. He didn't build any empire. He just saw their mixtapes blowing up and begged his way into the crew like a clinger with lucky timing. This revelation flips Jim's whole career upside down. Every track, every feature, every win. Now, it all points back to one thing. A desperate move by a fan who finessed his way into the spotlight. He saw two rising stars and clung on, hoping their shine would reflect on him. And the wildest part, for anyone who really knows how the streets move, begging is the ultimate violation of the code. Real ones don't beg, they build. Real bosses don't chase, they create. And Jim just got caught being neither one of those. So now it's not even about whether Jim Jones deserves a piece of Dipset's legacy. The real question is, how long can you keep stacking a career on someone else's hustle before the real architects roll through and bulldoze your rented empire? In the game, respect is everything. And Jim just went flat broke. When the folks who made you decide to tear it all down, there's no bouncing back from that kind of exposure. But it gets even colder. Jim's been spinning these lies for so long. The receipts have piled up. His own words from back in the day are now the evidence that's wrecking the image he's trying to sell today. That's the thing. Real street legends, they stay solid with the same story every time because it's the truth. But the fakes, they switch it up based on who's in the room. And those contradictions always come back to eat him alive. Jim's been remixing his origin tale for 2 decades. But the internet don't forget. And when your past self exposes your present lie, that ain't just awkward, that's career ending. Period. Now listen close. Camron ain't just tossing out wild accusations. He's lining up the kill shot with proof in hand. In the streets, when someone says they got receipts, you better believe it's about to get ugly. And what Cam's about to reveal is going to wipe out whatever shred of credibility Jim had left. Mase need to go on a diet. He need to get his life together. He needed to go to the doctor and get a physical. He looked terrible. Bad body back ass. It looked big around the neck. Waist looked crazy. I'm body shaming his. You heard? He need to go get his together. Get on the treadmill. Do some push-ups. Do something. You heard? Especially for playing with me. Yeah. Listen, man. Listen. You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. Mase actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap. Mase taught me how to rap. You say it. We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. Yeah, you ain't made none of this stuff. You was a fan. That's how you got down originally. Period. I heard the new you did. Yo, you want to come through. Come through. Why? Why are we going to J Mo's house? So yeah, I would bring some over there to sometime maybe. Peep the tone. Cam's cool, calm, and confident. That's because he knows exactly what he's holding. When you got a person's own voice admitting the truth, you don't need to argue. You just press play and let the silence speak. Let that hit you. The same guy running around saying he was the CEO, the backbone, the one holding everybody down just got caught on camera saying Mahi taught him how to rap. Not the other way around. Jim didn't make. MR made Jim. That ain't just a contradiction. That's a straight-up confession. From Jim's own mouth, he confirmed every word Cam and Make been saying for years. And when your enemy don't even got to take you down because you did it to yourself, that's next-level street justice. And it don't stop there. Jim's lies go beyond Dipset. He's been remixing the entire story of their friendship, too. Telling folks Cam was broke and staying at his crib trying to paint himself as the big homie. But that ain't how it went down. Not even close. See, this is what happens with folks who lie their way to success. Once they get a little spotlight, they start rewriting history, casting themselves as the savior, the leader, the one calling all the shots. But when you're dealing with people who actually live through those chapters, your fake stories turn into weapons. They can flip right back at you. The wildest part about this whole takedown, Jim can't even fight back. How do you defend yourself from your own confession caught on tape? How do you say you built somebody when you already admitted they taught you everything you know? But here's where things get even crazier. While Jim's out here wrecking his own rep with contradiction after contradiction, the folks who really watch Dipset come up, they've been sitting back watching this circus unfold. And now they are stepping up to drop game that flips the whole story. See, once the smoke fades and the fake stories stop working, the real truth always comes from the people who were actually there. And when Joel Santana steps in and says everything was cool at first, he's setting the stage, letting folks know exactly when things started to go left. Listen to his tone. It's calm. No hype, just facts. Real ones. Don't got to exaggerate. They just tell it like it is. Mase taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, but once you figure out how to rap the same way you act in these streets, it's going to work for you. Just keep going. And that's all I saw. I always got to give credit to where credit is. That would be no Jim Jones if it wasn't for them guys. Now, here's where the twist hits. Choke No Joke steps in and confirms something that adds a whole new layer to the drama. He says people did work under Jim, that Jim did hold some weight in the team. So now it ain't just about exposing a total fraud. It's deeper than that. It's about someone who had a bit of real power but couldn't accept the limits that came with it. Jim wasn't some outsider, but he wasn't the CEO either. He was in the building, just not at the top floor. He played his part, but somewhere along the way, he started rewriting the script, a middleman who wanted to be remembered as the mastermind. Now, here's the line that's about to split the comments wide open. Choke, no joke, just dropped a bomb. He said there would be no Dipset without Jim and called him the muscle behind it all. But hold up, before Jim's fans start popping bottles, let's break down what that really means. Being the muscle don't make you the brains. Just cause you're essential to the operation doesn't mean you created the movement. Jim definitely played a major role, but his lane was protection, presence, and pressure. Not the artistic vision, not the leadership moods. There's a huge difference between being important and being in control. What's happening right now? You're watching two camps form based on how close they were to the real story. Jules and Choke ain't defending Jim blindly. They are backing him based on what they saw firsthand. They know he wasn't just some random extra, and they're tired of seeing Cam and Mate paint him like a background character. But here's where it gets psychological. Both sides are moving smart, telling pieces of the truth. Cam and me are minimizing Jim's legit role to expose how much he exaggerated. Meanwhile, Jim's people are highlighting the facts to fight back against the just a fan. Label. The truth. Like always, it's sitting somewhere in the middle. But in street politics, perception becomes reality. And right now, Jim's getting smoked in the perception game. You know what makes this all even crazier? In the streets, loyalty is thick. When everyone's grinding side by side. But the second someone starts shining brighter, that's when true colors come out. And what's about to surface next? It's going to reveal exactly who's been carrying that hidden jealousy all along. Choke, no joke, just flipped the whole script. Now he's saying Camron was the one who couldn't handle Jim's success. They know what I've done and dance around it all they want and like that joking. But they know if I get upset, it's going to be a real problem. Get out of here. But before you treat that like the gospel truth, let's get real about what's going on. Choke's got personal beef with Cam that runs deep. This ain't just some random opinion. This man nearly threw hands with Cam years ago just for showing love to Jim's mixtape. When someone's that triggered over you complimenting their exartner, that says everything about how personal it is. Choke ain't just riding for Jim out of loyalty. He's doing it with spite in his heart. Now here comes Choke trying to paint Jim as the protector, the street muscle who kept Cam safe out here. But look at when all these interviews are dropping. Jim just released a new album at the church steps in February 2025. And all of a sudden, everyone's dragging up Dipset drama again. Coincidence? Not even close. When your career needs a spark, nothing works like digging up old beef to get the streets talking. And Choke, no joke, is the perfect sidekick for a history rewrite, especially when he's still holding his own grudge. Then Jules Santana breaks down the whole 50 Cent situation. But let's focus on what's really telling. Jim was so hungry for solo shine, he did the unthinkable. Broke the #1 street code loyalty during war. While Dipset was beefing, Jim stepped on stage with the ups. That ain't business. That's straight betrayal. That move didn't come from strategy. It came from jealousy and thirst for spotlight. Jim couldn't stand being stuck in Cam's shadow any longer. So, he took a shot that shattered their brotherhood forever. That's not how a secure man moves. That's the energy of someone burning inside with envy. What's the chances of you Cam and Mase getting back? I don't think it's really going to happen. We are all we two different type of people and always have. Competitive nature. Always been first before friendship. Remember Cam, my man. It's not. So it's not I took the position of my position. Cam is my partner. I'm not his artist. I was a CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down, and I took that position of holding him down. I'm not his soldier. You heard. I'm his partner. But in the journey that we had to take, I had to do what was needed. Why? I just played my position. That's why I'm able to be here and have a conversation with you, because I did what I was supposed to. Jim wasn't the loyal soldier who got played. He was the bitter hype man who couldn't play his part and torched the whole legacy in the process. Jim's been chasing the spotlight for 2 whole decades trying to be the star. And now he's still so obsessed with rewriting history that he's recruiting anyone holding a grudge to help him spin the story his way. Even Freaky Zicky, who's clearly trying to stay neutral, admits this beef wasn't even that deep in the beginning. But once outside voices started throwing gas on the fire, that's when things spiraled out of control. And who's really eating off all this drama? The one person whose relevance depends on keeping old wounds wide open. When someone gets exposed and they got no real defense left, that's when they go low. Real low. They start using threats, sneak disses, intimidation, anything to distract from the fact their whole image is collapsing. And now Jim Jones is about to show just how low a man can fall when his lies don't work anymore. Listen to Cam break it down. Calm, cold, and surgical. He's not just calling out personal drama. He's pulling the curtain on patterns. Patterns that expose Jim's real character. According to Cam, Jim moves with no standards, no self-respect, and no loyalty, except to his own hunger for attention. Don't pump that. This right here, it crushes the whole tough guy image Jim's been leaning on for years. That muscle persona, that street enforcer rep, all that loud talk and fake flexing, it just got wrecked by one story. And Cam says he's got witnesses to back it up. And the wildest part, Cam don't even sound mad anymore. He sounds bored. When someone stops seeing you as a threat and just sees you as a clown, that's the coldest level of disrespect. Cam's basically saying, Jim ain't worth the headache anymore, cause he's out here making bigger moves while Jim's still stuck in the past. And here it is. Jim's response after getting fully exposed. Threats. When you've got no real ammo left, when every lie's been torn apart and your credibility is in shambles, the last move is intimidation. Jim's out here hinting that he's going to expose Mahi and Camron's secrets, but pay close attention to what he ain't saying. He's not denying a single thing they've put on his name. And when threats don't hit, he switches gears to body shaming. Jim's literally telling May he needs to hit the gym. That's what it's come to. A grown man throwing middle school insults cause he's got nothing solid left in his bag. The fact that Jim thinks dissing Mahi's appearance is gonna win the public over, that just shows how far he's fallen. This ain't gangsta. This ain't real street code. This is straight-up desperation from a man who knows he's already lost. Now, here comes the irony. Jim says he's not taking Cam's words seriously, brushing it off as just viral bait. But let's be real. Who's the one doing interviews with XXL? Cam Capone, and any platform that'll hit record. Jim Jones, the same man pointing fingers and crying clout chase, is the one out here on a full-blown press tour to stay in the convo. But here's the most revealing part of it all. When the interviewer tries to press him on the real beef with Cam and Mahi, Jim clams up. All that tough talk, all those threats gone the second someone asks for details. That's what happens when your whole image is built on shaky lies. Once folks start asking real questions, the whole storyline falls to pieces. Jim's bold when he controls the MIC, but when someone else starts digging, he's got nothing but silence. And what you're about to see next is the full-on psychological breakdown of a man who's been trapped in his own life for so long. He's now at war with reality itself. Now listen to Camron deliver the final blow. This stopped being a personal beef a long time ago. This is now about a pattern of Jim Jones dragging down everyone who gets too close. According to Cam, Artists who align with Jim don't level up. They end up in a worse spot than where they started. That's not leadership. That's leech behavior. But here's the most damaging piece. Cam reveals that Jim's been on this bitter press rampage against him and Mate for over 10 years. This ain't new tension. This is obsession. The kind that only comes from someone stuck in the past. Because the past is the only place where his name still holds weight. And here's where the irony chokes the whole room. Jim swears he doesn't care about rumors. Says he's focused on getting money and building his empire. But who's been doing back-to-back interviews with XXL, Cam Capone, and anyone willing to hit record. Jim Jones, the same man who claims he's too busy to entertain drama, is out here feeding off it just to stay in the conversation. This ain't just three Harlem legends arguing about the glory days. This is bigger. This is about authenticity in hip-hop culture. It's about the line between builders and biters, creators and clout chasers, those who earn respect and those who steal it. Jim Jones' journey is now a full-blown cautionary tale, a blueprint for what happens when you build your entire identity on borrowed stripes. Machi and Cam didn't just win this war. They exposed it. They used Jim's own words, his own interviews, his own contradictions to take apart every lie he stood on for 2 decades. If you're still here, you already know this one was legendary. So, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to hear the real story. We're just getting started.